Subscribe to Baby Gang on Patreon for updates and bonus content.
Hello. Oh, damn it. I thought this pen was gonna be in my ear. Let me do this again. Hello. Hi, Baby Gang. I'm Elliot. I write, I make music, and I do other stuff. I make YouTube videos. That's the thing I do. Those of you who may know me know that I have been publishing articles and video essays for the past year or two. I've worked as a writer for Next Shark in 2018. Don't read my pieces for them. My pieces were bad. I've freelanced, I've written articles for ID, including an interview with the singer Claro and an interview with the YouTuber ContraPoints. I also interviewed Philosophy Tube for Regeneration magazine, and I've written a lot about BTS, the Korean group, which I now stan. Those are my credentials. I put these credentials on the table. Many people who have read my writing and enjoy my writing will come up to me virtually, not like in person because COVID, and also don't come up to me in the street. That's weird. People will contact me and ask me questions about how I got started as a writer, what my process is like as a writer, and you know, how I got here basically. And I have a multitude of different ways to answer, but honestly it's something that I think I need to take time out and explain. A lot of people want to be writers, particularly nonfiction writers and journalists are the type of people that I can help because that's my career path. So what are we gonna do today? In this video we're going to talk about how to get started as a writer in 2020. It's COVID season, we're home. Many of you are young and have not had a lot of preparation or training as writers, but have a passion for writing, have a passion for different subjects, and want to get published, want to work professionally as a writer. And so perhaps I will be able to lend you some advice, and maybe we can move forward in a way where a lot of you can become writers and we can connect, share our writing, and hopefully make the world a better place through our writing. That's the goal, right? And maybe we can take over the world and make it a worse place. That's fine too. In this video, we're going to be talking about how to get prepared for your career path as a writer or your side career path as a writer. We're going to talk about getting yourself out there, which is like the big thing, I guess. We're going to talk about pitching and publishing articles in a multitude of different facets. I'm going to give you websites that you should follow and people that you should follow. I'm going to talk about money and payment because that's the big thing, right? Everybody wants to make money. Money's great. Spoiler alert, you're not gonna make a lot of money. But if you can build yourself a professional career path as a writer, as a journalist, as a nonfiction author, as an essayist, whatever that you want to do, particularly in the realm of opinion writing and research-based writing, which is more in the line of what I do. I'm not really an investigative reporter. Through this, you can build more and more opportunities for yourself. And it's writing. It's a very diverse realm. You can do so many different things as a writer, and you should. So before I officially get started, hit like, hit subscribe maybe, hit the bell as well. I will try to do weekly vlogs sharing my music and my art and things that I want to talk about, in addition to the essays that I will sometimes write on my main channel, Baby Gang, which is a collaborative channel in which we publish video essays, mostly about K-pop and music and pop culture. Leave a comment as well, sharing your thoughts, ask more questions. Let's build a dialogue, if you will. Okay, let's get started, folks. You want to become a writer, theoretically. Maybe you're just a little bit interested in it. Maybe it's something that you've wanted to do for a long time. Maybe you're in high school. Maybe you're in your 30s. Whatever it is that your situation might be, there's a couple of things that will apply across the board in terms of getting started as a journalist, as a writer, as a nonfiction writer. The first thing that people will always tell you to do is to pick a beat or to pick several beats. What's a beat? A beat is the thing that you write about. That's basically it. Your beat is the subject matter, the industry, the subculture, whatever it is that you take a particular amount of interest and build a particular amount of knowledge in so that you can build a career writing about it. My personal advice when it comes to picking a beat is to pick the things that you're passionate about and that you care about. That should be obvious. That should be from Jump Street. If you're going to be a writer professionally or do anything professionally that has to involve creative stuff, in general, do the stuff that you're passionate about. There's not enough money out there for you to be working this hard and not enjoying the thing that you're doing. When you're passionate about something, when you care about something, you're naturally going to be able to write about it better. I started writing as a music writer. That's the thing that I've covered the most. That's why I've written video essays about BTS. That's why I've written articles about reggaeton, Bad Bunny and J Balvin. But what I will also say is that you should, how do I put this? Keep your options open. I think the best strategy in terms of picking beats is to have one thing that is your area of expertise, the best thing that you can cover. Are you really into K-pop? Maybe you're a K-pop writer. Maybe that's the direction that you're going to go in. That's your area of expertise. Why is this important? So that when people need to know who to contact in the industry, you will have a resume of writing that you did on this particular subject of expertise. And they will know, hey, Persona, there's just a Persona video game there, so that's your name now. Persona is a person who writes about K-pop. I need a K-pop article. I'm going to reach out to them. I will give them a possible subject to write about. I will commission them for something we want covered on our website. That will allow it to be easier for you to understand a path for you to pitch things. I write about K-pop. Well, you know, let me look at all these different publications that write about K-pop and that are interested in K-pop coverage, or might be interested in K-pop coverage. Speaking of K-pop, when you're picking these areas of expertise, you want to probably pick subject matter that people are interested in. Now that's kind of a shallow thing to say, because no matter what you write about, no matter what your interest groups are and your interests are in general, there's gonna be people out there that are into it. However, you can be more and more appealing and more booked and busy, if you will, if you've got subject matters that you have expertise and interest in that bring audiences, because audiences is engagement, and that's the name of the game. It's just like YouTube. It's just like anything else. Publications want clicks, they want readers. And so if you have a subject matter that you're interested in and have an expertise in that brings readers, you're in a good place. But make sure that you keep your options open, like I said. K-pop is a good subject matter also to talk about, because K-pop has to deal with identity and diversity. Because people are interested in covering more diverse subject matters in terms of ethnicity and culture in publications here in the West, in English language publications, there's going to be a lot more interest for people who can write about their own backgrounds. So keep options open for things like your ethnic background and your cultural background. You know, if you're somebody who's Indonesian, perhaps you can write about Indonesian politics and culture in addition to whatever your expertise is. This openness and open optionness will allow you to have different things that you can go to get booked. It's really that simple, and it flexes your muscles better. My thing that I always say is that being stretched thin can be a problem, but overall, when you have your foot into different areas, when you have your hands into different areas, when you have different areas of interest, different hobbies, different jobs, they feed each other. Things that you will learn in one place will apply well to another place. Another thing this is the thing that really kind of scares people the most, and it should. You gotta have good syntax. Work on your syntax, work on your grammar. Be able to write a decent article. Something with 400 words, something with 1,000 words, something with 2,000 words. Study how other people on professional websites, on professional publications write. Pick some favorite writers. Do you love Craig Jenkins at Vulture? Do you love Donna Claire Chessman at DJ Booth? These are music writers that I find to be great writers. And so I will often read their prose and be like, okay, well, I can pick something up from that to make my writing stronger. Learn how they're putting things together syntactically. Do you use the Oxford comma? When do you use a semicolon and when do you use an em dash? What do you capitalize? How do you write a date in an article? These kinds of things will be worked out with you depending on the editor that you have, but especially when you're pitching to larger reputational publications that are serious and cool, they're gonna wanna make sure that they're hiring a writer that really looks like they know what they're doing. That people will enjoy reading in addition to being able to read clearly, as they're studied or are well versed in the ways to write as a nonfiction writer, as a journalist. So if you feel like you're pretty good as a writer, I'm not gonna pressure you super hard to just make sure that your syntax is Didion-like. Do what you gotta do. But make sure that you're constantly in a cycle of getting better, learning more, and get your syntax on point. We need good writers. We don't just need writers, we need good ones. Okay, we gotta get to the next part. This is gonna be a long video. Let's get to a section about getting out there. How do I put myself out there? Well, friend, the best way to put yourself out there is to get out there. It's a really, really simple thing, and at once also a very complicated thing. My advice when it comes to getting into any career path or getting better at anything is talking to people. In particular, reaching out and talking to people who are already in the profession and getting tips and ideas from them. Or just even just reading them and not even being a parasocial relationship with people in the industry who you can learn from. Learn about the industry through other people, talk to other people, reach out, send emails. Now when it comes to getting yourself out there are also plenty of people on the internet that do cool things that allow writers to find ways to get booked and to learn more about the industry. In particular, I'm going to need you to write this website down because we're in 1935 and the only way to record information is to take this pen and writing it on a piece of paper or your hand, like you're cheating on a 6th grade exam. The website studyhall.xyz has a subscription service wherein you can subscribe to numerous tiers of subscription, and it offers services including a listserv. It offers a publication with articles, as well as, this is the big deal, they offer news and opportunity lists for the writing industry. Every Tuesday or Wednesday they publish a long list of different companies that are looking for writers, looking for engineers and audio and video producers and all these different media jobs. You'll find so many different things that you can do when you have this subscription. And how much money is it? It's like $4 a month to get these incredibly valuable lists of editors looking for people that want to take these gigs and these jobs and these fellowships and these, whatever, internships. It's a lot of different things. It couldn't be any more clear cut. If you want to be a writer, get that right away. And it doesn't matter if you're doing nonfiction or fiction too, they often have fiction writing opportunities there. It's just a thing every writer should be subscribed to. And the listserv is incredibly cool and valuable. They have so many discussions going on via emails that you can read about where to pitch different things and what rates different companies have. We'll get into that later. There's just so much valuable conversation and information available. Subscribe to that if you want to be a writer. And there's also other writers that put out newsletters wherein they document opportunities for writers, much like the Study Hall website. So there's a writer named Sonia Weiser who is very cool. Her Twitter account, Wise Choice, often retweets different editors asking for pitches or writers asking for different things. So you can follow her on Twitter and get access to this basically by just seeing all the different things she retweets and going, oh, maybe I can apply to that. These are not necessarily the only choices. There's probably a lot more out there and probably stuff that's maybe even better or just offers new things that even I am not able to have access to right now. But these are great places to start. You will find opportunities, and opportunity is the most important thing, as we know. If you're gonna do anything in life, you have to spend some money, you have to invest in yourself. This is how capitalist society works. But there's a lot worse things that you can be spending money on than a $4 monthly subscription to a website that gives you opportunities to get paid substantially more. Another thing, in addition to someone like Sonia Weiser, just follow writers, follow editors, follow them on Twitter, follow them on Instagram. That way you'll read articles that they retweet, that they write. You'll read their input on different things. You'll learn things that are happening in the industry. You'll read their threads. Start by following a ton of people within that industry and circle and giving yourself opportunities to interact with them or at least see what they're up to. When you follow these different writers and you see all these different writers, you have opportunities through social media to reach out to them. This is one thing that I benefited from greatly in my beginnings of my career. When I was in college, I wrote a senior thesis on a particular subject matter and I wanted to interview somebody for it. So I reached out to a writer who was incredibly well researched and well respected in the field that I was writing about in the essay. This writer responded to my Twitter DM, and this writer not only made a connection with me as somebody who I interviewed for the piece, and I went to their neighborhood and I brought them brownies and stuff, but this writer also gave me pointers and was an established relationship that I could look back on and reach out to in the future. That's super important. You literally can just DM people on Twitter. Writers have a blue check on Twitter, and other than that, they're just like anybody else. They respond to their DMs very often. They want to hear from young writers. They want to hear from new writers. They want to connect with people. They would love to hear people say that they love their writing. Let your favorite writers know that you love their writing. They might respond. They might be able to help you with something if you establish a relationship with them. Do not be afraid to reach out. There's so many ways to do it. DMs, man. It's all about DMs half the time. I'm hot opening window. When you connect with these writers, you might be able to intern for one. This was an experience that I had as well. I'm not naming names currently because I don't know if these writers like me anymore. I'm an asshole, so that's kind of how it goes sometimes. I can be a little bit combative or a little bit clueless, I guess. But regardless, I met writers in my young career a couple of years ago that helped me substantially. I interned for one, and this writer connected me with different editors in the industry that I could pitch to, gave me advice on different things, brought me to events back when people could leave the house and go outside. If you have an opportunity, especially when you're in college and you need an internship, reach out to a writer on Twitter, DM them, be like, hey, you need an intern? A lot of times they will. You'll do things like transcribing for them, or sending emails or getting them coffee, whatever the case might be. You could do a lot worse internships than literally just helping a writer. The best thing to do is to connect with people in any situation, really. Okay, so now that we've talked about getting yourself out there, now you've established some relationships, theoretically. You've followed some different websites and writers, theoretically. And you're in a position where, okay, I know what I kind of want to do, my writing's on point, why don't I get started? So let's talk about pitching and publishing. Pitching and publishing is the name of the game, and the plus side of the media industry right now is that it is easier than ever to publish yourself in your own works, and it's quite easy to pitch. Let's start with self-publishing. There's a number of different websites that you can use to publish your writing. In fact, now let's pull up this tweet. Somebody asked me what I think of Medium as a platform for publishing. Is it a good idea or is it a bad idea? Generally, it never hurts. Is it your only option as an up-and-coming writer to just put stuff on Medium and pray somebody reads it? Probably not the way that you want to utilize it. But the most important thing early in your career is to have clips. That's what people will always tell you. You need articles, you need proof that you're a writer and examples of your writing. People want to know, are you a good writer? What do you write about? How have you written about it before? One way that you can get clips without paying anything or pitching to anybody is just making a Medium account, writing an article, and publishing it on there. It can't hurt. It's a good way to put something out there, and the more connections that you're able to make and the more social media following that you're able to build, very important in 2020, the more people that you might have reading your Medium articles. When I got started, I didn't see much of a point to writing a Medium article if nobody was going to read it, because nobody knew who I was. But once people knew who I was and were interested in my writing, self-publishing became a perfectly valid tool. And sometimes when you get a lot of people reading it, you can even get money from it. So I totally encourage people using Medium, but I also have to say that Medium is not your only option, like I said before. And honestly, one of the things that you can do is post on social media. Now, pick your favorite social media site, pick your favorite app that you like to use that allows for some sort of content creation. Here's a list. Twitter, very obvious. You can write a Twitter thread with like 20 plus tweets that basically serves as an article. Put it out there, put a couple hashtags on it, and people will read it perceivably. And if people read it and it catches some retweets and it catches more likes and it catches more retweets, all of a sudden you have something that amounts to a clip just from writing tweets. It's only a slightly different art form, and even though people have certain perceptions about tweets versus writing a scholarly article, it's honestly the same thing, and you're putting actually an article in a more accessible place where anybody can read it. Downsides to Twitter is that it's Twitter. It's a very toxic environment, but if you can get something out there that people like, it can be a huge bonus. Writing Twitter threads was a huge help to the beginning of my career, and actually one of my Twitter threads ended up getting me a gig. I wrote a Twitter thread once about BTS and the Chicken Noodle Soup song that J-Hope made use of and credited in his song Chicken Noodle Soup, and that thread, which I wrote in like 20 minutes, got a bunch of engagement. An editor for a publication DM'd me and said, I like this writing. I would love something for our publication. And I got a good rate. Now when you write Twitter threads, don't make them too long and make sure you're writing well. That's the most important thing. It's the bottom line. Like I said, syntax. It's not just Twitter though. Reddit, great place to post. When you go on a subreddit that has a lot of followers and you write in-depth content about something, people read it. And you can leave some social media links on there and say, hey, I'm a writer and this is what I'm doing and here's my content, and I post it on Reddit, and all of a sudden you got a bunch of likes and followers. It's a great way to publish, and it's something that I wish I could have taken advantage of more, but I guess these days I don't necessarily have to. For example, if you're a sports writer, go on RNBA, go on R Baseball, write a really good piece about a game, a player, something that you know that these nerds are going to enjoy. And if they do enjoy it and share it and proliferate it, This will be another example of a clip, and you might make some connections with some people that are commenting and reading. So that's also a great place to post. YouTube. I have basically shifted my entire writing focus to YouTube. I publish video essays. They get traffic. I write about K-pop, so that gets traffic pretty easily. But even if you're not writing about K-pop, if you're able to assemble a good video essay, I'm telling you, publications are gonna be very into that. And that's something that I can talk about more in depth in a different video. But basically what I'm saying to you is keep your options open. There are so many media companies that are pivoting away from publishing articles. I mean, articles will never die, but they're interested in reaching out to these multimedia content platforms. And if you're good at doing that, and you've built engagement and a following from doing that, that gives you a leg up. And you have published work that can count as clips. Very important. Now, articles are still important, and you still want to be in the business of publishing articles for publications as a professional writer and getting paid for it. So here's the thing. At first, you're not going to get paid very much. You're just in the business of getting clips. But the work that you're going to get at first and for a while, it's gonna be cheap labor. I'm just gonna tell you that. It's gonna be a lot of that. But for example, there are still websites that, while they won't pay you a terribly high amount of money for your work, will allow you to have free reign over the content that you're writing. I benefited greatly from writing for DJ Booth, which is a hip-hop publication. The editors there, particularly Donna Claire, super chill, super kind, responds to tons and tons of pitches from all types of writers, all types of backgrounds. They don't care. Excuse me. They don't care if you burp. They don't care if you're a Rhodes Scholar. They don't care if you've been published before. If you have a good idea and you write well in terms of writing about hip hop, they take it. Find more websites like that. Find websites like Central Sauce. Central Sauce doesn't pay, but if you're part of that coalition, you can meet a bunch of different writers and publish work, and they allow you free reign over your writing. Especially since some of these publications have large followings. Like DJ Booth is a publication that has a pretty large following, and when I wrote about RM from BTS for them, it got tens of thousands of likes and tons of retweets. And that wouldn't have been possible if I had just self-published that article on Medium. The fact that it was in collaboration, not only with a publication that had a great following and something of a reputation and a blue check, but also I was benefiting from having a great editor in Donna Claire who was able to sit with me and work on my writing. Use your connections for signal boosting as well. When you make connections with these writers and editors, sometimes you'll self-publish something, send it to them. Send it to the people you know. Don't just send it to your friend. They can't do anything with it. They'll hit like on your YouTube video and move on. But if you send your YouTube video essay to an editor for a publication that you've made a connection with, they might be like, wow, this is quite good. They might give you feedback on it. They might signal boost it by retweeting and liking it. They might send it to other people that they know might be interested in this content. Now here's a very important little subsection of this video. I'm gonna teach you how to write a pitch. Just very simple, some short tips. There's more that goes into this, but basically here's what you want to do. When you find the email for an editor, whether it's through searching with different apps, using Twitter, figuring out the ways in which the email for a company are, like, oh, blank at condenast.com. Oh, it's a first initial last name. Okay, I'll put that together and pitch an email to them. And oh, and lo and behold, that's their actual email. I got it right. Whatever your path is to finding an email to pitch to, when you write this email, here's what I do. And this is what I was instructed to do by a writer who I made a connection with early in my career. In the subject line, I write, pitch, capital P, colon, title of article, headline. Have a good pop-in headline. That's what media is now. It's all about headlines. It's clickbait. Clickbait did not originate from YouTube. It originated in the 1800s. It's yellow journalism, baby. But even picking a good headline doesn't have to be yellow journalism. Just something that will appeal to the person that is going to read it. Think about what the editor might like, what kind of editor they are, and what pieces they publish. And then write something according to that. In the body of your email, hello, editor name. Write the first paragraph introducing yourself. I'm persona. I'm from this place. This is my ethnic cultural background if relevant. And these are my clips. I've written blank for blank. I interviewed Claro for DJ Booth. That's not true. I interviewed Claro for ID. That's something that I did. And I mentioned it before, but I like to brag. Once you've written that introduction for your pitch, telling people who you are and what you've written and how you write, I guess. The beats that you cover as well, that's important to put in there. Spend about 2 paragraphs, hopefully short paragraphs, describing what kind of piece you're going to write for them, according to the headline that you pitched. Use some of the language and ideas that you're thinking about including in the piece itself. Let them know to let you know if they're interested in the pitch. Thank them and sign out. In the 5 to 10% chance that they email you back, which is, you know, kind of indicative of the industry, they will tell you maybe they want the piece. A lot of times they'll tell you they don't want the piece. If they want the piece, ask them what your rate will be to clarify. Even if you saw that they said that their rate is going to be something, or you saw that, you know, maybe they don't have a rate, just ask. What's my rate going to be? By rate, I mean my payment. How much money are you gonna give me? And then ask for a deadline. Get that piece in by the deadline, man. Editors really care about whether or not you're timely with your writing. This is a reality of the world. Be on time, be punctual as you can be. However you have to get that done, get it done. Once it's in from the headline, the editor will usually send you edits back, go over them, send them the edits back when they need it back. You're probably not gonna have the same headline come out that you pitched. A lot of people on Twitter don't realize that when you write a piece, not only do you not write the tweets that come out that are posted with the piece, that sometimes will be a little bit salacious, but a lot of times you don't pick the headline or the subheader. You just mostly write the body, and a lot of times the body is edited to a point where it doesn't exactly resemble what you originally wrote. Like it does, and it's your writing, but it's your writing with somebody else's lens. There's 3 things that I think editors fall head over heels for when it comes to publishing writing in journalism. They love diversity, knowledge, like expertise, and they love engagement. So let's talk about payment. Okay, like I said, you're not gonna get paid. Listen, you're not gonna get paid. Just tell that to yourself right now. You know how people say, like, set your expectations low so that you can be happy? Yeah. You can be paid very handsomely on a yearly basis for being a freelance writer. What's the word they use? SponCon, sponsored content. Sometimes you might want to write an article where you endorse a product. Can be kind of tricky to keep your integrity in that sense, but it's also fine. Like, you're just endorsing a product. You want to give sponsorships. Everybody should be able to endorse products if they genuinely like the product. It's capitalism, it sucks, but hey, it's kind of not that big of a deal. You just don't want to be in a position where you're writing SponCon about a product that you don't care about. But if you're able to write SponCon about something you like and you can get money from it, because usually those pay well, more power to you. Other than that, work different jobs. Honestly, even if you're getting paid well off of freelance writing, work different jobs. This is not just because you're gonna need a steady job that can bring you a steady income, but it's because you can bring more things to the table when you have different experience in different workplaces. I have experience now working as a tutor, and that gives me some insight into the education system, and that can allow for me to write some interesting pitches about education, higher education, but also money. Another very, very important part of this whole process, and something that I actually kind of left out of the pitch segment, get the byline. Make sure you get the byline. I've been in a situation where I was working on a piece and I didn't get clear clarification as to whether I'd get the byline or any payment from it, and guess what? Not only did I not get payment for the piece that I wrote, but I also didn't get a byline. Thanks, Vogue Italia. We're not going to talk about that piece. You don't want to be in a position where you do not get credit for something you wrote. Payment does not always come in the form of money. Sometimes payment is engagement. Sometimes you can get paid in attention. Sometimes you can get paid in connection. Sometimes you can get paid in having clips. There's many different benefits to writing an article and publishing it than just getting money. But if the byline is not there and you can't prove that that's your clip, you're in a world of hurt. Make sure that when you read the publication, they all have bylines credited to the correct writer. Be the person in charge of connecting with the editor, of offering of signing your contract for your piece. Do not have somebody else mediate it for you. It's a mess. Be the person emailing the editor. Be in contact with the editor. The more clips you get, the more of an audience that you build, especially when you're utilizing social media well, as I outlined earlier, the higher rates that you can negotiate for. Nice website that I think is a great tool in terms of the world of paying writers is a website called whopayswriters.com. This website has a large list of different publications and people putting feedback, like Yelp style, basically, anonymously, saying this publication does not pay well. This publication does not pay on time. Timing is going to be a big problem. There are so many publications, usually the big ones, that'll give you the big name on your clip, but will not give you the big payment. And in addition to the payment being small, half the time they're gonna pay you late, or it's gonna be like a 30-day period. It's industry standard for some reason to get paid 30 days after you publish something for a publication. It's not cool. I don't love it, but that is the way that it goes. But sometimes the 30 days are even too short for publications. I've been paid late many times before. Let's get into the Q&A portion of this massive video that I will have so much trouble editing. Here's some questions that I received on the Baby Gang Media Twitter account that you can follow right here. Well, you can't click on the screen, but this is the name. This is also my personal Twitter account. You should follow me there if you're interested in me for some reason. Alyssa Furline asks, how do you know when enough is enough? How do you make your works concise? Work with an editor. It's the easiest way. Work with somebody who's in the industry, who has an established history of writing, somebody who understands how to write and to read well, that can edit the piece down for you. This will help you, and their advice will stick with you if you listen to them. In addition to that, try to establish word counts. I want this to be like 1,600 words, so I'm gonna keep it right around there. And make sure that you're hitting your points and not going off into tangents. There are many things that you want to put into a piece, and sometimes you have to kill your darlings, as it was once said by some white people. Cynic Thinks asks, say I have a topic in mind, but there's not much documentation and research on it. How would you suggest the writer to proceed in research? My thing, I always look for experts in the field, contact them, and talk to them. Talking to people, it's really the biggest thing. They also ask, when do you feel confident that you've thoroughly researched a topic you aren't too familiar with? Never. So I just try to make sure that whatever information I'm providing is cited, that I don't try to overstep my boundaries in terms of how much I'm trying to say. I am proving this, here are the facts to prove this. Make it specific, and don't overstep. How do you decide what's worth writing about and what's worth sharing? If it's something that I find myself thinking about a lot, I might as well write about it. That's my thing. If you're tweeting about something a lot, you probably want to write about it. If you're thinking about something a lot, if you're talking to people a lot about it, you probably want to write about it. Think about the things that are going through your mind all the time, that are going through your mind right now, and say to yourself, I could probably write 10,000 words to this. That was rowboats, by the way. Ali GATL asks, does imposter syndrome ever go away? How much writing that you do isn't shared? Do you write in your free time, and how much? I don't really write in my free time. If I write something, I write it to be published. Sometimes I write notes. I write notes quite often. I write sentences quite often. I write music in my free time a lot, and sometimes I'll just write verses and keep them. But in terms of publishing work, in terms of essays and articles, if I write something, I want it to be out there. Imposter syndrome does not ever go away. Everybody suffers from it. Everybody feels like they're not good enough. You have to be confident enough to know that you have a right to put your work out there, and that you have worked hard enough to deserve a spot, while also saying to yourself, I'm not an expert, I'm not Superman, I'm not the king of everything. I'm just here to prove a certain thing, to research a certain thing, to talk to certain people. And when I provide this information, provide this work to the world, something good can come of it. Thank you for watching my video. If you liked it, hit like, subscribe, comment. It's going to be quite a journey to edit this, but I hope that it's worth it. And I hope that you're able to take something away from this to start your path as a writer, or perhaps your path in different things, or perhaps you're gonna share this to somebody who wants to be a writer. Share this to somebody who's a kid in high school, is thinking about majoring in journalism in college, and say to them, hey, maybe you don't need to do that. But that's a separate conversation. Follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram at BabyGangElliot, that's BBYGANGELLIOT, because sometimes I post selfies on there, I guess. Subscribe to this channel, and subscribe to Baby Gang. And I'll see you guys soon. Thank you guys for talking to me, and listening to me, and I hope you're well. Keep your mental health intact. Drink water. Salud.